Hi everyone, this is Alma coming to you from Long Beach, California. Today is Friday, August 27th of the year 2021, and this is going to be FlossTube number 67, I believe. If not, I'll just correct it in the title. Anyways, as always, I want to welcome you all. Welcome back to all my current viewers and subscribers, and thank you, as always, for your continuing support. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, so thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if this is your first time visiting, then welcome. This is a channel where I talk about all my cross-stitch projects, most of which are full coverage, but there's quite a few exceptions. But yeah, so I hope that you like what you see, and you find a reason to stay, to subscribe, and continue to follow me on my stitching journey. We actually have had quite a busy couple of weeks. You know, it's been, you know, kind of day by day sometimes, but we're getting through it. As always, I hope that everybody's staying safe and sound. Everything's good on our end. We're taking care of ourselves. My boyfriend's slowly but surely going back to work at the office, so we're hoping that, you know, things stay well enough so that he continues to do that. But you know, time will tell. And I've actually started training for my new job. I officially start at the end of the month, on the 31st. However, I think they're just gonna backtrack that week because, you know, this is paid training, so they will go ahead and make sure that I get compensated for the time I'm spending with them right now. But yeah, that's been kind of slowly but surely easing me into school mode. That starts this week, so my vacation time is over. I feel like I did a lot, but I also feel like I didn't do as much as I wanted to do. Having said that, I have a bit to show you, so let's just get to the stitching. I'll stop talking about it and I'll start showing you. As always, the first one up is my Julie Fane fairy. This is a Heaven and Earth Designs piece called Mini Midnight Stroll. And this one I started last year in May, along with Tess from Tess Stitches. We both started this together. And I've gotten quite a bit done on her. She is one of my focus pieces, so she does get regular work. This is where we're at so far. I think the last time I showed it to you was like on this side, over here somewhere. So as you can see, I kept going with the same color purple. Words are hard. Same color purple. I think I'm gonna end up switching back to either this color or some other color, because there's still quite a bit of purple left to do over here, but I wouldn't have anywhere to anchor my floss when I finish it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a color that kind of goes over here, just for a little bit, so I can have some, like a stepping stone, and then I'll go ahead and go back to the dark purple so I can finish that color. But yeah, I only have 3 more. I think I only have 3,000 stitches more to go on that color, so I'm powering through it. But it's been great. It's been really good working on her. I'm doing this on 18 count Aida, 2 strands over 1. I kind of fell out of the habit of mentioning all that information, and sometimes I do get questions about what materials I'll use. So I'll try to keep that in mind. I feel like I always say this, but I'm trying to make an effort of slowing down. Because I feel like sometimes I record and I just want to just show everything, and I get it out of the way as quick as I can, and then I end up going, oh wait, I forgot to talk about this, I wanted to mention this. So I'm trying to just, you know, take my time so I can say everything I want to say. So I apologize if it's a longer video. Anyway, the next piece I wanted to show you is another one of my Hades. This is Moon Charmer. I got the select the size option just because it was smaller than the original. I didn't know that you could request sizes yourself. I just thought, I don't know what I thought. I just thought it's smaller, so that's why I got it. but this is by Amy Stewart. And this one, I feel like I'm gonna say this a lot, but it's one of my focus pieces. I'm trying to do 300 stitches daily on this one. I think the last time, so I did move the Q snap since the last time you saw it. I was working on this morning. Again, 300 daily stitches. So I think I may have been like over here on the top when you last saw it. So I've done quite a bit over here. I'm mostly just switching between the black and the DMC 500, which is like a pine green. So I'll just follow that down, all the way down. I did some of the sky. I did the dark blues from the sky. So that's what it looks like. But I am working my way down. So once I do everything to the way down, I may go back and do the rest of the sky, or I may finish up the grass, because this also opens up to the grass that she's sitting in. So we'll see how sick I am of the green and the black. I may just switch for the sake of, you know, for the sake of switching, you know, having a bit of a change. Again, so 18 count Ada, that was my go-to when I first started doing full coverage. I found that the coverage that was decent enough for me. It's 2 strands for a full cross on 18 count. So that's also an 18 count. And then this is also one of my regular pieces. This is Sleeping Beauty by Stitch Fairy Treasures on Etsy. This is also one of my oldest pieces. I think I started it back in, I want to say January or February 2019. And I'm using this for my daily 30 piece. So I'm trying to do at least 30 minutes on it 5 days a week. And this is where I'm at so far. So as you can see, I'm pretty much done with the bangs over here. This entire page is almost finished. I only have some of the confetti over here at the top to go, and then I'll be done with that page. I kept going on her face, so I filled in a lot of her face now. The color looks weird right now. I'm hoping once I add the rest of the colors it'll blend a little bit better and it doesn't look as bad, or as you know, the contrast just looks very interesting. But then of course I've also added the purples and the blues. There's like a blue flower over here, and her crown is almost finished. It's one of those things where I wasn't even aware that I was stitching her crown. I was just going by whatever the pattern was telling me to do. It was just so much confetti. It's just one of those pieces where it's just so much confetti you don't even know what's what. So it wasn't until I was looking at it from afar I was like, oh yeah, that's the crown. So again, 18 count Ada, 2 strands over 1 full cross. I'm hoping to be able to finish this within a month, at least this page right here. Once I do finish the page, then I'll go ahead and move on to something else. Preferably something that's not on Pattern Keeper, because those patterns tend to get neglected, unfortunately. They're not on Pattern Keeper, so I'm not as inspired to work on them. So another piece that I worked on was one that I mentioned on my last video. I talked about one of the weekend events that Full Coverage Fanatics was going to have, and that was the Less is More weekend event. So I picked up Sea Glass. The purpose of the event was so less is more, so you were to work on the whip that has the least amount of colors. So I picked up my Caroline Manning Designs Sea Glass. I feel like it had like 20 colors, if that, might have been less. But this is where I got to. And most of the stitching was done over here at the bottom. I filled in any spaces that I had, any colors that I had left, because that's what I was trying to do. I'm trying to go just like make it square. So I filled in any spaces that were in here, and I started going out. So next up is going to be finishing up these couple of columns, so that it can be it can be a square again. I tried to keep, I think I only did 1,000 stitches throughout the weekend, but I tried to keep them all together so that you could tell the difference. Because I also used this for I forget what event now, for the Stitchagon trail, and that was like increments of 100. So it was our, I think it was a stash flash they called it, where it was actually kind of fun. At every 100 stitches they had like a list of 20 cross stitch notions or supplies, I guess, that you needed for cross stitching besides the actual thread and fabric. So it was, you had to take, so every 100 stitches you needed to take a picture of one of the items. So I ended up taking up, you could do Q snaps. I took a picture of a Q snap. I took a picture of floss storage, just anything that had to do with cross stitching. Well, not anything, but they had the items. So those were 100 stitch increments, and you could only do 10 out of 20. So it worked out. I was like, okay, well, I'll do 1,000, so it works out for the full coverage fanatics event as well. So this is, I feel like this is going to be one of my goals for next year, to finish next year, because it's a very easy stitch. Once you get into the groove of it, it's a very easy stitch. So I do want to go ahead and keep moving on that one. Another piece that I worked on is one that I'm going to go ahead and show you here on my pattern keeper. Another reason why I want to work on these sea glass is because I didn't work on it as much as I wanted to this year. For the remainder of the year, what I want to do is I'm going to try to be a little bit more spontaneous, I guess, about what I stitch on. I'll just stitch on whatever I want, whatever I feel called to do. Whether I want to wrap up a goal, like if I had a goal that I'm about to hit, which I have a couple of whips that I'm close to hitting my yearly goal, I can do that. Otherwise, I want to touch as many, well, not as many, but I want to touch a lot of the pieces that I really haven't gotten around to stitching as much this year. So one of those is my Baby Yoda pattern. I believe this is by All My Stitches shop. Not quite sure though. I'll as always, I'll post the link down below in the description box anyways. But this is one that I started in November, before we started the No New Starts challenge, and the colors looked a lot different in the product image. I actually wasn't as thrilled with the actual call for colors, so I'm doing my own color conversion. I just thought I'll just base it off of the actual product image and then follow that instead. And I added 500 stitches on him, so I finished up the sweater, and the next step is the sleeves and the rest of the cowl. And yeah, I picked out colors for him, so I have the ones that I'll use for the skin and the ears. I haven't picked out colors for the flowers yet though, the flowers that go here at the bottom. So I guess I'll do that when I get to it. I'll just worry about finishing Yoda for now. Baby Yoda, Grogu, I guess is his name. But yeah, this is also one of the pieces that I feel like I can really finish up this year if I put my mind to it. There's only like 6,000 stitches total. That sounds about right. So it's not that bad of a stitch. And I feel like, again, if I 6,000 stitches over the course of 4 months doesn't sound too bad. I feel like I can still keep up. As I mentioned, I do have a bit of a handful of whips that are close to the goal being met, and some of them are getting close to being finished. Even though I haven't touched them in a while, I feel like if I do focus on them from now on, I can get them finished, and I can keep up with doing one finish a month. So speaking of one finish a month, I did manage to get in a finish this month. This time it was Bilbo Baggins. Well, Bilbo's Home is the name of the piece. Bilbo's Home by Mandrink's Designs on Etsy. Again, 18 count Aida, 2/1. I started this in January 1st of 2020. Was my new year, new start. And the finish was long overdue. Honestly, I have no excuse as to why it took so long. I just dragged my feet when it came to the detailing. But yeah, he's finally finished. And I adored working on this. I adore the way that she works with color. I have 3 more of her designs. I have Darth Vader, I have her Iron Man, and I have her Little Prince pattern. And I'm looking forward to working on them, particularly the Little Prince, because that one, I love the blues in the sky, and it's all half stitch, so that's gonna go quick. So I might finish that this year or early next year. But yeah, here's a little bit of a close-up. I just adored the teacup, the tea kettle, and the cookies, and the little teacup. And this was actually, it was interesting because as I was stitching, again, going back to sometimes you don't know what you're stitching until much later. So this was another one of those situations. So the little handle right here, the dark purple, I thought was part of these stepping stones. I just thought, well, that's a weird shadow. What, you know, it didn't look like anything else that was around it. And going off of Pattern Keeper doesn't recognize backstitch. So even though I did have this on Pattern Keeper, I couldn't see the backstitching here. So all I saw was like 2 lines of dark purple. So it felt out of place, but you know, I went with it. I trusted the pattern. And it wasn't until I was doing the backstitch that I realized, oh, it's the handle. It's part of the kettle. So yeah, so I enjoyed doing this. I enjoyed doing the blends as well. Like, it sounds weird, but it's the way she works with color is just amazing. And even the details, you know, the little white outlines for the steam and the smoke of the chimneys. The books over here have a lot of detailing as well. There's just details all around. And even the way that she works, you know, half stitches versus full stitches. Everything just added to the texture. And I adored working on this. So I'm very happy it's finished. I feel like this is going to be another one of those pieces that just, I've been so used to having it in my rotation that I feel like I am gonna miss. I'm gonna feel the the space, the hole left behind. But again, it does deserve to be finished. And I'll be framing this. I added the initials and the year here as well. Because for me, it's not finished until that's in. So, one more finish for 2021. Again, cutting it close at the end of the month, but I did it. I believe that is all that I had to show you. Oh wait, no, false. Okay, pattern keeper. I have one more pattern to show you. Another one of the pieces that I'm trying to focus on a little bit more for the sake of just to keep moving. It is my other Amy Stewart piece. This is Reader's Paradise, supersized max color version. I decided to go big or go home on this one. And for this one, I started on the lower left corner, so I think this is as far as I can go. Yeah, it won't let me zoom in anymore. But I'm still working on this section right here. I'm purposely trying to keep to like this book right here. So my hand looks huge. Sorry. Just because I want to make sure that I finish this entire section. So I did do a little bit of shopping, and that's up next. But one of the things I got was the floss that I needed for this piece. I got a bunch of the new colors because I don't have the complete collection, at least when it comes to those new colors that came out a few years ago. So I'll just stop showing you that and show you the actual project. This one is done on 25 count easy grid, because it's easy grid and magic guide, I think is how it goes. I always get them jumbled up. And this is where I am at. So again, lower left corner, not much yet, but I did keep up with the 500 stitch per week goal that I set up for myself this month. So the last couple of weeks I've been trying to do away with the confetti. So it's mostly finished. I still have like a couple of the pink colors to go, but I was able to finally fill in a lot of the pages of the books over here, because that was one of the colors that I was missing, was the main color used for the book pages. And next up I'm gonna go ahead and fill in the pinks and the purples over there. And you know, for the sake of my sanity, whenever I do get tired of the confetti, I usually will do just the one length or half a length of one of the colors over here, because those are used a lot. So it's a lot of black, a lot of 37.99, and I think 823 is the blue, 823 and 820. So that's how I go. A lot of people sometimes ask, like, you know, how I handle confetti. That's how I handle it. Is sometimes I don't. I just switch over to something solid. But you know, so for example, it was 500 stitch increments, so I would make sure that I would only do 100 stitches on these colors, right? And 400 or so on the confetti, because I do want to get the entire section finished. So you'll see this again. Originally I wanted, me and my silly goals, I feel like that's another thing I need to really reconsider and think about next year. I originally thought I was going to get to 10% on this piece. I need 7,000 stitches, more than 7,000. I think it's like 7,700 stitches just to hit 1%. I'm barely at 5,000. So, yeah, 10%. So I was gonna do 77,000 stitches on this piece alone. Like, not even if I only had 5 whips, would I be able to do that? I don't think. I don't know what I was thinking. So that's one thing, is I am kind of re-evaluating and trying to think of how I can do better about just goals in general and be more realistic. Because every year, you know, from when we switched over from, you know, 2020 to 2021, 2020, well, even then, because I did start school in the fall, so 2020 itself was a shift, because in the beginning of the year and throughout most of the year, really, as everyone else, I didn't have much to do, so I had all the time to cross stitch, and then slowly but surely that time got taken up by school, and so then I had to readjust. But then from, you know, 2020 to 2021, here we are, same drill. You know, my classes started getting increasingly difficult, so the time that I could spend stitching became less and less. And now I'm starting a part-time job. I'll be starting a part-time job. Well, I already started the training for it. I forget if I mentioned that in the beginning of the video. If I repeated myself, I'm sorry. But so there's that as well. Like, that's going to take up more time. Usually for tutors, they do about 10 hours of tutoring a week. That's including any like sessions that we have, because we have our own training. Every Friday we have our own training session. So, you know, it's 10 hours per week, but that's including the 3 hours that you spend in class, the class that you're tutoring for, and that's also including the training that you do on Fridays, and so the rest is supposed to be just actual tutoring. So that's, you know, that's going to be time away from my stitching as well. So there's that as well. So yeah, so all of this to say is that even from now on, like, I was thinking of what I wanted to do for September, and that's when I really noticed that I, like, the whole, like, with the monthly monsters battle that we have for Magical Stitches, I usually did 4 of each monster, and it was the same whip for each monster. So for the 500 stitch monster, it would do one whip, and then so by the end of the month, it would get 2,000 stitches. You know, the same goes for the other 2. And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to stick to one whip for all 4 weeks now. I may just go ahead and switch around. So yeah, it'll be a little bit more random, I think, a little bit more spontaneous, I guess, but we'll see. Because I also want to have goals met, so I'll just try to balance, but I do want to give me a little bit more wiggle room, a little bit more opportunity to stitch on whatever I want, whilst also trying to do prompts, so go figure. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose, to see how it adds up. I don't know if I mentioned it in my last video, because I don't remember exactly when the announcement, but Full Coverage Fanatics already came out with all their plans for next year, but mostly just the monthly themes. They're not doing counting anymore, or not anymore, but the monthly themes for this year, there was a counting option. I believe there was also a non-counting option. Next year, it's just going to be non-counting for the monthly themes. It's all history, so it's different historical periods, and then you just have to choose whips that work with that theme. But there is there's 2 year-long events. They're bringing back, you know, 21 and 21. Started with 20 and 20, 21 and 21, and there is going to be a 22 and 22. So of course, you know, I'm in for that one. There's also a year-long event where we have to work our way through various wonders of the world. whether they're established or not, because they just chose also. There's, I think, 20, if I'm not mistaken. So, and those are 5,000 stitch increments per Wonder of the World. So I'll be doing that one at least. I just don't know if I'll be participating in the monthly ones that are just non-counting. Not only because I don't have any historical pieces. I feel like I can get creative with some, but for the most part, I don't have anything that immediately calls out to me that I can use for it. But also because I prefer to have the counting thing as a goal. We'll see. Magical Stitches is also, I'm waiting for them to announce what the theme for next year is going to be as well, which should come soon. Yeah, because last year they announced it at the end of August, and then the year before that they announced it mid-September. So I feel like it's coming. But we'll see. One of the things that I did plan and I want to show you is I have a few starts planned. So after a year of not starting anything, I do want to start a bit. I'll try to space them out. I'm not gonna start them all at once, but I will start some. And so I did get the materials for those. The first one I'll show you is also a Carolyn Manning's design, and this one just called out to me because it was just so different from everything else. So I'm used to, when I think of Carolyn Manning, I think of all of her Broken Stars and Shooting Stars series. So just like Sea Glass with all those color coordinated triangles and diamonds and squares. And I saw this one and I just completely fell in love with it. It's called Butterfly Weed, and I had a gift card from my birthday, so I decided I would go ahead and order the called for fabric, at least, not the floss. The floss I'll still do DMC. In fact, I don't know if it was called for, if it called for fancy floss or not, but the picture itself doesn't do it justice, and that's actually why I didn't appreciate the picture too well, because this is the called for fabric right here. It's got all these, it's called antique copper. So it's coming out okay. It's coming out a lot more green, I think, than it really is. But it does have, I mean, you can kind of see there's like rust tones and greenish tones. I think it'll still look well or work well. And it's a Joblin. It's a it's a 28 count. It's a 28 count Joblin. So yeah, you can kind of tell. I found it really interesting because usually with 1, 2, 3 stitch they give you the DMC equivalent, so you know it's going to be interesting when they give you two completely different colors. And so because they were trying to give you, let me see, I don't know, they were trying to give you like some of the rusty tones, but also let you know that there's going to, I think they used 3022 or 3023 as one of the colors for that greenish brownish hue. So we'll see how this works. I haven't done a floss toss, but I also trust the designer. This is the call for fabric, then so be it. And then I also got fabric for my unicorn charts. So long time ago, a few years ago, a long time ago, we're talking maybe 7 years ago, I think that's about right. We visited my best friend's grandmother. We, as in my best friend and I, we visited her grandmother, and her grandmother also cross stitches. She's been cross stitching all her life, and she invited us over for tea, and she showed us all of her cross stitching goodies. She, first of all, like everything was just hanging up on walls, right? She had all of her projects up on walls, and she had like her little den, that she called it, where again everything was just hanging up and being displayed. And at that point, she let me have this binder just full of cross-stitching books and magazine cutouts and all sorts of stuff. So one of the pieces that was hanging up on her wall was this piece right here. It's illustrated manuscript by Barbara and Richter, I think is how you say it. So she had this displayed, and I adored it. I thought it was gorgeous. And again, luckily this was one of the pieces, one of the patterns that she gave to me. And okay, well, yeah. So here on the back, so you know, you get all the information. It tells you what the calls for materials are. You know, it gives you some instructions, but then part of the information also says there's a sister piece, there's a companion piece to it, and it says, you know, look out for this second piece coming out. It actually came out much earlier, but so, and I don't know if you can, well, I mean, I'll show you, but so I was like, oh, I need to find that sister piece because I want to do them both. I want to have them side by side. That would be amazing. But besides the name of the magazine, I didn't have anything else to go by until I found myself watching Garrett, Coffee Stitcher, and he was, you know, he picked up this magazine. He says, oh, look, you know, I got this, and let's see what it has, and blah, 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 and, you know, and he says, look at this amazing project that is in this magazine. And so of course I had to contact him immediately, and I asked him, like, where'd you find that magazine? I need to get that magazine. I have the sister piece. eBay. That's a short answer. It was like $5. So I got the sister piece, and I'm very excited, and so now I can start both. So I'm using the called for fabric, which is a 20. I just, off the top of my head, I want to say 25 count. It's a 32 count Lugana, cream Lugana. So nothing, you know, nothing special. I did want to give it, because I didn't want to use straight up, you know, white fabric, white Aida, not only because I wanted to give it that antique look, but also it's Aida. I didn't want to, because I'm sure there's going to be lots of detailing and lots of fractional stitches, or even just the outlining itself might be fraction stitches. But I just, you know, I didn't want to go for the Aida because of it, so I did go ahead and go for an even weave. Again, just Lugana. So I got one piece, and oddly enough, when I ordered it from 123 Stitch, I got the second piece, but I just noticed that it was a lot, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it's a lot thinner, and so I'm just like, I'm not sure this is even Lugana. So me being inexperienced, said, you know, reached out to a couple of friends, said, is this correct? They said it's probably linen. They probably mislabeled it and gave me a linen. But I contacted them, and they're sending me the correct one anyways. But yeah, so now I have the cream Lugana to go with that piece. And I did also buy the Petite Treasures braids, because this is going to call for a lot of metallic thread. It originally called for Kreinik, but I didn't want to do it in Kreinik, so I got the Petite Treasure braids instead. And I also got the white one, I don't know what you want to call it, Petite High Gloss, it says. There's no color. Anyway, it's this one. It's for some of my hates are starting to call for Kreinik as well. So particularly the Eternal Promise by Matt Stewart calls for Kreinik for some of the flowers that are on the border. So I got two of these. I hope it's enough for for the Eternal Promise. If not, then I'll just get some more, I guess, but I hope that'll last me a while. So yeah, so that was my bit of haul. I don't usually get a chance to get things like this. I don't usually get the opportunity to get the called for fabrics, and but I did receive a gift card from Sarah, Stitching Kingdom, and from Liz. So thank you both for that. You've made me very happy, and thank you. I'm just really grateful to have this opportunity. And again, it'll just be things that I can start next year. I also got a full yard of the 25 count easy guide, so I can start more stuff. I'll start a Mickey Mouse piece that I got from my best friend. You know, two things she loves most in the world is Mickey Mouse and coffee, and I found a cross stitch pattern that has Mickey Mouse with a cup of coffee, so there you go. So I'll be stitching her that, and I also want to restart for the third time, and hopefully third time's a charm. I wanted to restart my Afromov Hade. I don't think I ever got a chance to show you all that one because it was over and done with before I even started filming, I think. This was going to be the very first Hade that I ever tried to do. And I got a max color version. I got the regular size, but I got the max color version. And even though it's regular size, it's one of the biggest pieces, I think. So I started and I went for my go-to at that time, which was 18 count Ada, 2/1. And I just remember finishing the first page and being super happy and super excited because I got a page finish. But then I looked at how many other pages, and it was like hundreds of pages because it was like large format. So it's over 100 pages, and it was just really discouraging, to say the least. And so I scrapped it, and I thought I'm gonna start it using half stitch. So I'll just do 10th stitch, and it'll go by much quicker, and it'll be so much better. And sure, it went a lot quicker. However, I made the mistake of still going for 2 strands using the half stitch. So even though it was a lot quicker, I hated the coverage. It was not, because I was working with a lot of dark browns and blacks in that section. So I immediately just did not like the coverage. And since that's all I knew at that point, I thought, well, I guess I just won't stitch this. You know, I've tried everything I could, so I guess I just won't do it. So now that I've started working with the 25 count, I have more experience working with difficult pieces. I think this time will stick. I'll do the 25 count. I have Pattern Keeper to help me because I didn't have Pattern Keeper before. I feel like that's going to move things along so much better. I think I'll go for the 10th stitch, but you know, on 25 count I'll do the 2 strands for the half stitch. So yeah, so hopefully I feel like that's going to be the answer. I feel like that's going to be the way to go, and I'll get this done. So that's also why I got the big yard of the fabric, was because this is going to be a large piece. And I wanted to make sure that I had enough for that and the Mickey Mouse piece, and also any other full coverage piece that I feel inclined to do at this point. That's those 2. Again, I say at this point, this isn't written in stone, but those 2 are the only full coverage pieces that I plan on starting. Again, don't hold me on that. But I've really enjoyed finishing all these projects. I've really enjoyed doing it's not so much about not starting anything as it is about finishing stuff, right? So I really enjoy doing that, and I really want to keep going. So the next couple of months I am going to kind of sit down and see where I'm at on each of my whips. I know that some of my minis, like the mini Midnight Stroll and mini 1, those I can definitely finish well, okay, one of them, I guess. I can finish one of those within the year if I keep going at a steady pace. So I feel like it's gonna be mini Midnight Stroll, because that's just more of a priority than mini one. But yeah, but I do want to go ahead and make sure that I keep going at a regular pace on my pieces, so that I can continue finishing stuff on a regular basis, because that's how it works, right? So yeah, so I'll reevaluate my time and my stitching methods and whatnot, so I can keep finishing things. But yeah, but I also want to start a couple more things, because that's just how I roll. That's how I like to do things. So yeah, so thank you very much for joining me. I think that is all that I wanted to talk about this time. As always, I'll go ahead and put the links of everything that I showed you down below. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment. I also, as always, will put down the Instagram link as well as the Buy Me a Coffee link if you feel so inclined to support the channel that way. We really appreciate it. But if not, as always, I want to wish you all a very relaxing weekend, a productive week. And as always, I hope you find the time to do the thing that makes you happy. Until next time, bye.